Both agree, okay.
Okay.
Work comp we can't do till we get the boss,
He's, just 1 second, I'm gonna get him right now.
so I think,
Oh,
but we got to B form, so.
May I please have the,
Yes.
Sorry.
I don't give up power easily, so.
We'll give you all the mice you need.
Oh, that was an inside joke. I got that
really
one.
No, we call them ratatouille.
Oh, there you go.
I call it master sponge.
They like the statue.
Pistachios?
It's just, I'm sorry, you know what?
Miss Candace loves pistachios. Me too.
Oh, yeah, because we don't get as much as we used to.
I'm sure.
But the state law says all these committee meetings have to be in person, right?
Yeah, so I was curious how, I was going to text Alex.
Oh, so he can't zoom in?
He can, just,
I
it's
guess we
requiring
won't count
update.
as being
I
present.
mean, he can zoom in, but does it count or?
Oh, according to the Brown Act.
Or
He should've-
you counting on the
He
two
posts
of
the
us?
agenda at his house or wherever he
And
is.
we would have had to have noticed
Yeah.
that he was at this.
So he's zooming in, but we are technically the committee present, is that right? That
Yeah.
gets recorded?
He would technically be just a member of the public.
He's a member of the public that just happens to be in charge of it.
Is Jim not gonna make it at all?
He is on
You'd
his
have to
Zoom,
be
as soon as I would check
Okay.
my password and update the Zoom.
Just,
But we'll have to let him.
just nobody promised to shoot me down next time I get in an airplane because I tried to take over.
I'm not gonna fly an airplane, John, there's no way.
So who would fly the plane if it was just?
No, I'm saying because Putin took out,
Oh.
that was a bad joke
Oh, yeah.
on the Putin taking out the
Wagner guy, what's his
Wagner
name?
guy, yeah, I can't think of his name at the moment,
Sorry,
but
for some reason it's not recognizing
you know,
my
It's
password.
on,
FYI, don't,
we're on the air, I believe.
don't fly in a plane if you're that guy.
Nice.
I'll do that meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Candace,
Yes, ma'am.
can you help me?
I will do my best to try.
Because for some reason it's not recognizing my password and it won't, even though it automatically got me in.
So, go back.
Uh-huh.
Okay, go ahead. Enter your email.
Okay.
And it's not your PCC password, it's whatever
Yeah.
Zoom password.
Unless you do single
You can
sign
do
on,
both.
if you do single sign on.
I set mine up.
Okay.
So if you go back now, you try to use the Zoom version, but then you're gonna use your
It's
PCC
never-
credentials.
Okay.
But take
I'm
out,
sure I have one, I just don't remember it.
Okay, so
I can take it out.
you see that little carrot
Yeah.
on the,
So funny.
this is called a carrot, this little
This?
V, yeah.
This?
Yep.
Carol? Okay.
Because you can't be a Joseph to a Pasadena .edu.
Oh, I think it's, delete that
Okay.
and do a Pasadena dash edu. Try that.
Hey, Joseph?
No,
Okay, Pasadena.
dash.
Okay.
It doesn't like that.
Or no, go back. Oh, no, click I know
So,
the company,
Darlene, what do
nobody's.
you do for us?
Okay, and
Brings
now
you to
do
this
Pasadena
meeting.
dash.
So I'm the executive director of business services.
Oh,
Dash
I
edu.
oversee risk management,
And then do
I
continue.
oversee our bookstore, food
Okay.
services, transportation,
And
office
you said-
services, campus use, all of our properties across the streets, all of our leases for the college.
Okay.
What properties are
Okay.
those? Oh, the houses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can send them.
Yeah, no, you got a lot.
Property manager, you want me to say?
Yeah, you catch up, you're the one in charge of catching up on all this. Do you
And I
do
oversee-
anything with the T&A accounts? Or
No. And I oversee our purchasing and contracts.
Oh, yeah, unless,
So I don't see
you
that.
probably can't do it on your computer
For
because
the
it's
whole
the app.
district,
We're
not
doing it
just
on
the, oh.
This
well, that's
computer
a lot.
that's hooked up to here.
Yeah.
Sorry, you guys. We
No worries.
anticipated him being here and I would have had Zoom up a long time
No
ago.
worries.
So,
Do you want me to try to log in on mine?
sure, anyone is welcome to try.
Hello.
I think this is the app though, it's not your.
Oh, yeah, I think
audio.
it is the app.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
Mr. Keenan, tell me your first name.
What happens if you
Brad.
get that?
Brad,
Start
yes,
it on
thank
your
you.
computer.
but this is not hooked up to this. Do you know?
So
Oh,
that's
okay,
okay,
we're
so
just-
we can just
Oh, we're
share,
gonna
I
run
can
the-
share with
So we're down
him
the
the
road.
presentation on the screen.
I mean,
But if you
right.
start
As the crow flies, right?
Yeah, as the car drives.
Traffic.
On, at least, because I don't think we're gonna get anyone.
Traffic is
This is
Jonna.
Jonna,
JOHNNA.
Johnnna. Okay. And your last name?
Randazzo, R-A-N-D-A-Z-Z-O,
Randazzo.
Z-Z-O.
Got it.
They're both.
And you're both with Keenan,
Keenan,
right?
yes.
So which, I just said we are having some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Let me get logged into Zoom and then I will email him directly a Zoom link that he can
Okay.
join. So since we don't have anything on the agenda that requires like an approval piece, so that's why you two will be the formal in-person trustees, but he'll participate as if he's part of the community. Otherwise, he would have had to have posted this agenda at his home in the appropriate time frame.
With the state relaxing the Brown Act requirements, they just told for the COVID guidelines, we kind of have to go back to traditional Brown Act, let's call it, non-COVID Brown Act.
These committee meetings would be nice to have.
We'll hopefully make it exciting with the wonderful work comp.
I'm on the edge of my seat right now, just thinking about it. Well, that's important. That's important. Yeah, because workers' comp things. Often.
Yes.
The other layer is all
I
the
just sent
various
you the
mod
link.
rates.
Oh, yeah.
You could also call in on speakerphone if that was.
It's like, how many different mod rates are there anyway?
I sent him mine.
We
I'll
don't
just
do that
get it
on
from
mod
here.
rates,
You
they're all-
stay there when
but they're
I
all-
have his slides, so I can.
There's the
share
main
his
mod rate,
slides.
and then
Yep.
there's some other layers, so, because I'm always estimating what's my final gonna be, right? So that I have a reserve for it or whatever. And I finally, I gave up on the layer of detail, but I tried to do that too, and just not a percent, to make sure I got. So when the final bill comes,
I
it will
sent
cover
him
and get a
the
little bit
Zoom
of money
link.
back in my other.
Your broker should be able to help you with that. If you
Yeah.
ask him or her and say like, can you give us a heads up on which way you think the mod is leaning, they should
It's
be able
okay,
to.
I watch the recording.
Yeah.
Which is all just gonna be.
I'd just rather find $20 in my jeans than find I owe a bill that I can't pay, so I don't,
Yes.
I just keep the reserve a little high and then good news usually comes.
Smart man.
I'm bringing this back over to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. Okay, here's all of them. Okay, great, we approve the minutes. Thanks.
You'll need to hear him. Oh, he's just joining.
And he has a presentation, right? Okay,
I've got it.
Okay.
Hey, trustee Australian.
Oh, I see him on here.
Hello, hello. We are in the room. Hold on.
me, Jim. Redirect. Point the man to the,
Candace, you're on mute.
there you go. Point him to the team over there that's gonna really carry the day.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
My apologies, I think you can hear us now?
No, he
Yeah, I
can hear.
and the apology is mine. For some reason, I got the calendar for this from Audrey, but it didn't get up onto my calendar, so that's technical difficulty on my side. My sincere apologies. But we're late, and let's gather this meeting to order.
But can he?
And I've got the agenda up here.
Yeah, Jim, we're on to, in your absence, I took over and we're on item B, waiting for you. So you can just start with the work comp and we'll run.
Okay, John, thank you for doing that, and we'll go to agenda item B1, workers' compensation. And again, my apologies, everybody.
No problem. So just really quickly, we have invited our partners from Keenan there is an opportunity that the district can consider, and we thought this would be a great venue to start with seeing, one, is the district interested in pursuing? So there's no decision that needs to be made today, so let's leave with that. What we would like, some advice, interest, is this a possibility that you want us to actively pursue? And if yes, then Jesse and I and Darlene will work to make that happen. But we thought just for today, it'd be our intro piece of this new opportunity that our colleagues at Keenan are going to share with us today. I'm gonna actually ask them to introduce themselves. And then if it's okay with everyone and Trustee Osterling, we can just jump into the presentation materials.
Perfect. Yes, I'm Jonna Randazzo, so nice to meet you all, and thank you for having us. I have been with Keenan about 3 years, and I think this is a great opportunity to consider.
Hello everyone, I'm Brad Keenan with Keenan. I've been at Keenan since the day I was born. Thank you for this opportunity. So just a little background on Keenan. Keenan is an insurance broker. We administer work comp claims, property and liability claims, and work with about 500 or 550 school districts and community college districts across the state. My grandfather started the company in a bowling alley in Torrance, California. For whatever reason, he said, I'm just going to focus on schools and community colleges. 50 years later, here we are working with more than half of the districts and colleges in the state. So again, thank you for this opportunity. I will jump into this. So to kind of set the stage, so Pasadena, PCC procures insurance via a joint powers authority currently. And that's what you're seeing on the right part of the screen. Pasadena joined a joint powers authority called PIPS in July 1st, 2021. So we're not going to actually be talking about those claims because all of the claims that happened subsequent 7/1/21 are transferred or reinsured. We're going to bring that up a lot today, to the PIPS JPA. PIPS is a JPA of 415 K-12 school districts and community college districts in the state. But what we're going to be focusing on is all of those years prior to the 21-22 fiscal year. So starting on July 1st, 84 up until 6/30/21, Pasadena was what we call a traditionally self-insured district for workers' compensation. Again, workers' compensation is in the event an employee of PCC gets hurt or injured while in the course and scope of his or her job at the college. So between those years, Pasadena had different levels of a self-insured retention, meaning Pasadena was financially responsible for anywhere between $100,000 to the first $500,000 of every claim. Every single claim that came in, Pasadena had to pay the first $100,000 or up to $500,000. It depends on the year. Over time, Pasadena historically took on a higher self-insured retention, meaning you were more financially exposed to every single workers' compensation claim that came in. And then through those years, Pasadena leveraged what we call a group purchasing JPA, which is that SOX 2 acronym, At the time, there were probably a few hundred school districts, so you were with the large majority of the colleges and K-12 districts in the state, but then the district made the decision to join PIPS. So what we're gonna be focusing on, like I said, is just the July 1st, 1984 through June 30th, 2021.
So SOX had the access on all those claims up until that date.
Correct. Yep. And SOX is a non-risk sharing pool, like PIPS is. It is a group purchase arrangement, meaning, let's say El Camino was in that pool and they had a lot of bad claims and Pasadena didn't. That did not impact your what we call your lower level or your lower layer. It only impacted the excess that was purchased. So that was the typical arrangement that colleges and school districts were in for a long time. With those self-insured years, Pasadena is and was financially responsible for all of the claims before excess comes into play. And GASB says that Pasadena has to financially account for all of the financial responsibilities within those layers in perpetuity until the claims are closed. So one thing that Pasadena has historically done, like all self-insured organizations, is Pasadena procures an actuarial report to give an estimate on how much those outstanding liabilities cost, or how much they could ultimately cost. So based on a report as of February last year, the actuary gives a range of anywhere between $5.5 million to $7.1 million. Now the probability levels that you're seeing on the left-hand side are how actuaries determine, or I'm gonna use this word, guess, how much money Pasadena needs to have in its bank account to pay for the old claims. Because remember, as of July 1st, 2021, you are no longer financially responsible. The PIPS JPA is responsible. So you're essentially transferring the risk to a JPA. But you still, the college still needs to account for the liabilities which you are financially responsible for.
Is there any liability at all associated with the SWAC portion of this? I mean,
Great question.
yeah.
Independent. SWAC is property and liability and cyber and equipment breakdown coverage, auto coverage, independent of this, which is just workers' compensation.
So who had the excess on work comp during this period?
The SOX 2 JPA, you essentially purchase an insurance policy, an excess insurance policy, which will be in existence in perpetuity.
In forever, and we don't have to worry about anything on that policy, not being there if needed.
With those insurance policies, they're all occurrence-based policies, so you paid for it, you have it forever.
So, all right, so back to here we are today in the actuarial and
Yes.
5.5 to 7.1.
Yep, and so the actuary will give a range, because an actuary, again, is a really qualified guess or an estimate based off of a lot of statistical modeling. So when an actuary gives you central estimate to 98%, central estimate is the actuary saying, with a 50% chance, so 1 in every 2 times they're gonna be wrong, $5.5 million is enough money to have in the bank to pay for all of the claims that did happen in the past and which you were still financially responsible. As you move up the confidence level up to 98%, the actuary is saying with a 98% confidence level, $7.1 million is gonna be enough. Actuaries cannot give you a 100% confidence level because it's just, you can't. An act of God could happen and somehow Pasadena is now responsible for $50 million of old workers' compensation claims. So that's kind of the range that we have consulted with Candace, Darlene, Jesse, and the team to help understand, does Pasadena have enough in its Fund 67? Is that the fund?
62.
Okay, one of the funds that is designated for older workers' compensation claims. So this technically is just sitting on Pasadena's books, and it's going to continue to grow over time because workers' compensation claims are getting more expensive.
But I thought the claims ended in June of 2021.
They do, but they still, even though the claims, they happen in the past, they still may be open, and they can continue to incur costs. So an example would be, let's say an employee of Pasadena got hurt in 1995. And they had a knee replacement. Let's say they got a knee replacement in 1995. Knee replacements last about 15 to 20 years. we're now coming up on that time. Pasadena is still financially responsible to do the next knee replacement. Because if it was workers' compensation in the past and it was already considered compensable, you're gonna be on the hook forever.
And all claims prior to that June 30th date are still self-insured.
Do we have any ballpark figure about how many claims?
106.
That's pretty ballpark.
Dating back to as old as.
1996, I believe, is the oldest workers' compensation claim that Pasadena has that is open. And these claims, I should
How did they ever close?
Somebody dies, maybe?
that is one way. There's a couple ways workers' compensation claims can close. That is one way. One is called a compromise in release, or a CNR, which essentially means you pay someone a lump sum to say the claim is done. So using the knee replacement example, let's say in 1995 you gave an injured employee $200,000 and you said we're done with the claim. That means if he or she needs to get a knee replacement in 15, 20 years, Pasadena's already, you've written $200,000 check, claim is closed, they can't bring it back. Another is called a stipulated resolution, where essentially, going back to the knee replacement, they will say, I will close, this person, the injured worker will say, I will close my rights to workers' compensation except for these certain things that may come up in the future.
Such as future medical.
Yeah. So yeah, death, unfortunately, CNR as we call it, or a stay. Good questions. And so as when I showed the anywhere between $5.5 million to $7.1 million, things with workers' compensation, just like everything in our world, things are getting more expensive. In the workers' compensation world, we view indemnity claims as the cost-driving claims. An indemnity claim is when someone gets hurt on the job and they either sue Pasadena or they miss time at work, or those are kind of the two big areas. And the reason those are more expensive is because if someone misses work, you have to pay what's called TTD, temporary total disability, which means you're paying someone to be off of work, because in California they want to make sure the injured worker is made as close to whole as possible, even though he or she is injured. Indemnity.
Do you have a graph now, or it could show us later of how many numbers of people that we have that are potential claims? I think you said it was 100.
I believe it was 106, and yeah, I can absolutely show that to you, yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yep, and within that 106, I should have been more clear, that can also mean other claims can open up. So even though there's 106 open claims, we do what's called, we administratively close claims, meaning they haven't received medical treatment in a long time, they could be dead, we haven't heard from them, so we administratively close them for our files. That does not mean they are not able to call us and say, I'm ready to get more treatment on my injury that stems from my time at Pasadena.
I need my second knee replacement.
Yeah. Knees and backs are the ones that pop up a lot. So the dollars that are sitting in your books, claims are gonna get more expensive over time. A lot of that is derived from medical costs are getting more expensive. Because if you think about a claim from 1995, if someone were getting a knee replacement in 1995, it might have been $30,000. In 2023, a knee replacement is probably closer to $200,000. In Pasadena, from those old years, as a self-insured entity, you are absorbing those costs yourself. Now, you do have excess that will kick in at a certain level, but you are still having those financial responsibilities yourself, not shared with anyone else. The other reason workers' comp, that those claims are going to get, yes sir?
I'm sorry. So average medical costs, just call it $29,000.
Yep.
So you're paying, the average you're paying is $29,000 per claim per year. Is that what I'm getting? So the average is we're paying an average of $29,000 or whatever the number is on 106 claims? An average on 106?
No, just a new claim, a new indemnity claim would average about $29,000. And I should have said this.
A new claim, not these claims,
Correct.
but just going forward, that's what, about what a claim is.
Correct.
Do you
And
have
this
any-
data isn't specific to Pasadena, this is a WCIRB.
Okay. All right. So it would be in the actuarial what the average cost per claim per year for our 106 is, but we don't really need to know that because it's actuarialized out to
I'm gonna
5.5
steal
to
that right now.
7.1.
And what is WCIRB?
The Workers' Compensation Insurance Rating Bureau. They are a California objective organization that just looks at the workers' compensation system in California as a whole, and they do this 100-page download of everything you need to know about California workers' compensation. They break it down by region, they break it down by parts of the state, they break it down by types of occupation. So it's kind of the governing body of workers' comp, if you will, of data and statistics.
I've actually been audited by them before. I'm like, why are you audited? I'm still not sure whether I guess they're just trying to. That's important here. So all right.
So medical costs are getting more expensive. The two things that drive workers' compensation costs in California are cost of accessing medical equipment or medical services, which we talked about on the last slide, and then pharmaceuticals. I'm sure Pasadena has increasing or escalating costs on your health benefits program because of medical costs. We see it in workers' compensation as well for pharmaceuticals. The reason I show this is because, going back to the knee replacement example, even if prescription whatever back in 1995 is going to be 1/5 of the cost of what it is today. But Pasadena didn't fund in 1995 knowing that this escalation was going to happen. The other area that we look at is when claims are closing. You will see more and more medical costs come up, as you can see, after year 8, and that's coming back to the knee replacement example. Someone will get treatment, they get taken care of. If they don't want to close the claim, the entity or organization is still going to be on the hook years later.
So the total of all green bars is 100%.
Yes, sir.
But those are other states.
Blue is California, yes.
Oh, so the total of all the blue bars is 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
The other area which is impacting health benefits, and I'm on slide 8, Candace, is an aging workforce. So just like in employee benefits program, when you have an older workforce, they may be more prone to injuries or getting sick, which leads to high utilization on an employee health benefits program. Same thing unfortunately holds true in workers' compensation. If there are, and this is not related, this isn't Pasadena data, I should say, this is general data. People who get injured might not recover as fast, it's going to take longer, and that's just going to mean a more expensive workers' compensation claim. Any questions up to this point?
Just to add to, the employees do not have to make, like the workers' comp claim, they may not be employees of Pasadena anymore. So they could have had a claim 20 years ago when they worked here, worked somewhere else, and we still have to cover them, so.
Correct.
Yeah.
Vehicles that
What about-
companies do live after them.
What if they have health insurance at their current employer?
It's still workers' compensation. So California is a no-fault state, meaning no matter what happens, I can be texting, if I'm gonna pick on Darlene. Darlene could be walking to her car after the meeting on her phone, trips over something, but she shouldn't have tripped over it if she wasn't on her phone, doesn't matter. If she was acting within the course and scope of her employment and gets injured, Pasadena is gonna be on the hook. So to your question, even if someone is an employee here for 2 days, gets injured in those 2 days and never works for Pasadena again, you're still on the hook.
And that's for the lifetime of that specific injury.
Yes.
And if Darlene is found, if Pasadena is found to only be 2% liable,
They don't do that.
they don't do that
There's no
anymore,
findings.
we're still on the hook for the full
No fault state, yep, you're 100% on
100%
the
of the
hook.
amount.
Yep. So as a reminder, here's what we're going to be looking at for what an opportunity that the college has to essentially get rid of those liabilities of anywhere between the $5.5 to $7.1 million. So we call that a lost or the industry refers to it as a lost portfolio transfer, or an LPT. We love our acronyms in insurance. I apologize in advance. if you think of a loss like a claim, so it's essentially taking the book of old claims and paying someone to take it on your behalf. Meaning you wipe your hands clean, this insurance carrier is on the hook, even if something comes up in 20 years later, you're done. So that is what a loss portfolio transfer is. You're taking all of those claims from July 1st, 1984 up until June 30th, 2021, and you are paying a premium to a reinsurance carrier to absolve yourself of any and all financial responsibilities within Pasadena's self-insured retention of the year. Self-insured retention is a better way of calling it a deductible, meaning your financial responsibility for each claim. So that's what essentially a loss portfolio transfer is. The benefit of this program that we've been building for a couple years now, I will give Darlene credit, when Pasadena made the move from a self-insured entity to PIPs, she was one of the people that said, what can we do with all these old claims? Like, can Keenan buy them? Can PIPs buy them? And
We don't want them
like,
anymore.
we're not an insurance carrier, but there were a few other organizations, there were about a dozen in your similar situation, to where they had all these old claims, we call them old dog claims, that you are financially responsible for, that are gonna sit on your books forever, until everyone dies or things happen. So with this loss portfolio transfer opportunity, one of the main values of this is that there's no aggregate. There's unlimited aggregate protection. The reason I say that is because certain loss portfolio transfers, historically, they have given you an aggregate. Meaning, if hypothetically your premium is $5 million, the insurance carrier will say, we are only gonna pay $8 million total, that's the cap. So they're kind of limiting their financial downside. With this program, it is an unlimited cap. So again, if there's an act of God and something comes up and that $5.5 million or $7.1 million becomes $50 million, you've paid your premium, you're done. So it's a way of replacing a volatile variable cost for a fixed cost at this time.
Can we just get to how much?
Yeah.
How much is it gonna cost us to address?
Swiss Re America Corp is the group that does it.
Yes, so Swiss Re is the reinsurance carrier. For reference, they are the largest reinsurance carrier that we work with on the PIPS JPA. So they are very well known, they are incredibly financially stable, and the reason we have AM Best A+ 15 is to show that they're doing well, they're in a good position. And that's why we have historically worked with them on the PIPS program, because they understand our business, they understand schools and community colleges, and they have the financial backing to back it up.
So they're
And I
willing
think
to,
they're owned by Warren Buffett, right?
They may be independent of Berkshire Hathaway, but they could be in Berkshire's umbrella. I can look that up for you though, for sure.
Yeah, just curious, go ahead. Go.
Yeah.
so Swiss Re is willing to take on risk up to $7 million for only $4.9 million?
They are.
How are they going to make money?
They can invest in things that school districts and college can't. They take the premium and they invest it in the market, in real estate, in other areas.
So essentially, they're taking, the owner would pay them in a lump sum and then invest it to produce profits for them.
So
until the claims
they're discounting it back. Our future, how many years were we going to
This-
potentially be paying?
This, years, what do you mean by that?
So the actuary or whoever estimated this calculates our claims, there's going to be a curve of money that we would be paying out, and what does
It's
that?
all years prior, and the
Right, but-
oldest case right now is
No, no,
from
no.
'96.
Future claims, so that this is saying, in the future, until all these claims, we hope that we only pay 5.5 million. If we have 7 million budgeted, with the 2% probability of not, we're gonna cover all of our claims. And how many years out is that projected?
That's for the life of the claim.
And so we have a basket of claims some will be closing every year, every year, every year. And so Swiss Re thinks that they will make enough money with this 4.9 million lump sum to pay all those claims off into the future and make money.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, you got to the number 4.9.
Because I'm like,
Further in here?
She just jumped.
Any other
Yeah.
questions?
She's like, I just wanna know how much.
I think that's.
I'll get, so the mechanism by which this would happen is Pasadena would rejoin the SOX 2 JPA as a limited purpose member to basically enable it to do the loss portfolio transfer. So Pasadena, along with probably about 12 other entities which are in very similar positions looking to do the same thing, rejoin this JPA, and that's the mechanism that's being used for Swiss Re to pay the claims.
And we've already had, so I'm on the SOX board of directors, we've actually already had a few districts go through this, kind of before I even wanted to present it here. For instance, San Bernardino Community College District did it
They'll probably do it in December.
in
But yeah.
December, but we've had a few other that have already signed on to do this as well.
2 districts have done it, 1 large JPA has done it, there are 2 other colleges most likely gonna be doing it, and probably about 7 other K-12 school districts that will be doing it.
What are the risks or the negatives to doing this?
$4.9 million.
The risk is if you don't do it, you'd be assuming, which, obviously your decision, is that your claims are gonna come in less than the $4.9 million worth of premium is. Based off of what we're seeing in the marketplace, I don't see anything getting cheaper with the workers' compensation claims that are sitting on your books.
Have you done any, like, internal rate of return analysis or cost flow analysis on maybe at the 50% and the 98% over 20 years out? Obviously, you're doing a lot of speculating on how much each year, what kind of rate of return we would be getting on $4.9 million now if the central estimate played out and if the 98% estimate played out. Be interesting to kind of have a feel.
We haven't done a cash flow analysis because it depends on when the work comp claims.
No, I
when
get
people are-
that. No.
But I think Leif is paying, well, you probably know better than me, what's the Leif interest rate
We're
right
actually not on late, we can physically.
now? Okay, shoot.
So,
But-
I mean, for us currently, in our current state, we're getting about 2 to 3% on our cash sitting in the pool with label.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everywhere else in the market is about 4.5 to 5%.
Yeah, and that's good to know because that's what I would compare the answer to this analysis to. So you run some various probabilities and you might just take,
So you said we're pulling away from LACO, that there are things that we're not allowed, I mean, we invest conservatively and 4% is general.
4% is generally what's happening in the market right now.
Right, and we're not allowed to invest
No,
for that
not-
rate of return?
Correct, yeah, it would not when we're still with legal.
but Tammy, what I'm trying to do here, to my simple way of thinking, is you ask the question, what's the risk of doing the 4.9? It's the opportunity cost of
That's
the
right.
use of the money.
That's right.
So I'm trying to
Yes, and you're
ask,
right.
Right.
ask you to just do several different scenarios on if it's 5.5 million and, how the 106 people and their average age and it's gonna go on for 20 years or I don't know, until they're all dead, right? Similarly, the other 7.1 and average that out and just come up with a range of numbers that says it could be anything from 4% to 8% return on doing this, and then we can compare that to how long we think or what we can get with the county, or if we decide to leave the county, what we could get, or what we're getting in PARs if we were to shuffle some of that money But that would, to me, would answer your question and kind of come right down to whether this was, and I realize there's no way you know.
It just seems too good to be true.
You're not the first person to say that. I mean, it's one of the things that we've tried, because when Keenan built this program, we have Pasadena and, like I said, about a dozen other entities, so we're bringing them more premium than they would have got if we just did Pasadena by itself. So because we're bringing an aggregated amount, they're giving good discounts to your benefit for this.
So can I ask a question?
Please.
So did Swiss Re come to you with this opportunity, or did you go to Swiss Re with the opportunity?
Good question. We went to Swiss Re because a number of entities who almost did the exact same thing at the same time as Pasadena went from a self-insured model to a fully insured model, essentially. And so we aggregated the districts that we had, and then we brought it to Swiss Re and said, make us an offer, make the members an offer based off of the claims data.
So do you have to have a minimum number of schools or districts
We
to
do
do
not.
this?
We do not.
And how does Keenan get paid?
We get 10% of the premium.
And the premium is the $4.9 million.
Correct.
And how we've discussed this with some districts, basically from a perspective of OPEB liability, if you could sell off your OPEB for 50 cents on the dollar right now, would you make that decision? And when looking at the central estimate versus it going up and above the 98%, that is kind of like a perspective way to look at the LPT for past claims.
So who's paying you the 10%? Is it Swiss Re?
It's in the premium.
They
Yeah. You want me to jump to the pricing going?
I'm learning a lot, I'm liking every
listen.
moment of it.
Now
So,
I'll listen
no,
to
the-
the whole
It's a crash course.
presentation.
The other slide that I was gonna mention is, in terms of handling the claims, Keenan is still administering your claims. So we currently administer your workers' compensation claims, we will continue to administer. That's one of the caveats that Swiss Re has, is that they know and value how we handle claims and how we administer it. And so we've actually had school districts say, we wanna do this, but we're not their claims administrator. And Swiss Re only trusts us administering the claims. And that's because of the relationship we have with them via the PIPS program and just a long-standing relationship. PIPS audits us, I think, 3 times a year to ensure that we handle claims appropriately.
And our claims administration team only ever focuses on public schools and community colleges. And so other claims administration teams, they are not really trusted to work with schools specifically.
And the claims administration fee too will go down as the claims close. Like, so even though they're not with, like, let's say we did this and they're now with Swiss Re, as those claims close, because we still have to pay an annual fee to have them monitor, administer the claims. As those close, then our amount that we pay for, to Keenan to administer the claims will reduce.
Well, that was actually, you led me right into my next question, except for if we were to take the deal, doesn't the amount to administer claims drop dramatically immediately because they're no longer ours?
They're yours in the sense that they're your employees, and we still need to be part of one of the enclosures is, it's an amendment to the current contract, where essentially we are administering Pasadena's claims on behalf of Pasadena, which is on behalf of Swiss Re, because you are no longer
So
financially.
you're still administering the claim,
Mhm.
you're just getting funded for the claim differently, so we're not.
Which is important because you still have a voice when it comes to the claims as well. Like they're not being taken away completely from Pasadena, and you have someone from a different state making decisions about an employee that's important to you. It still is, there's still Keenan involved and Pasadena involved in all the claims.
The reason we say that is there's not gonna be some big bad insurance company coming in, just throwing money at all of your employees to get rid of the claims.
So back,
And who pays the, Keenan Claims Administration on these claims that we have, passed on to Swiss Re?
The current contract is, I think, a little bit more than $75,000 a year, but to your point, as, let's say that 100 claims becomes 50 claims in a year, the contract will reduce commensurate with the amount of claims.
But that contract is paid by Swiss Re or PCC?
PCC.
so we're only removing the liability, not the administration of it, is the point. So again, back to my simple way of thinking, it would help me, so you asked the question, would I pay 50 cents now versus the full amount over time, not knowing what the full amount is. And again, I would not know how to process that question
There's a formula, but I forgot it.
in my mind,
I'm Googling
other
that.
than doing some different scenarios as I suggested, or doing it in reverse and
And,
taking 4.9 million, investing it at different rates and seeing what it
and
means.
similar to the unexpected trend of medical costs, those investments are also unknown as well. So while this 4% is a really great opportunity for a lot of schools to take advantage of now, and even personally with CDs, that's not always the case when we're getting 0.1% interest on that type of money. So it's definitely a complicated calculation to really look at what that would look like as a projection, but it is absolutely something to take into consideration, and I really liked your thought process there.
We can look at like
Yeah,
those claims historically, how much is paid out annually. We'll look at annually and then we'll look at averages, and if that helps with the decision, we can absolutely.
I think I have a better understanding of what I don't know on what my returns on money that I possess is, as opposed to what this number means in terms of what I don't know as a percent of return. So that's why some level of analysis that tells me it's between this and that lets me decide, at least personally, how I would play it. I do the same thing with all the leases that I get, whether we want to buy the stuff or lease it. You know, I'm trying to play the same game, except for there I get a little more definite information what these leases are and what it's worth. at the
Where's
end.
that break-even point?
Yeah, so, anyway, that would kind of be the ticket for me, just to kind of, then I have two very shaky percentage numbers that neither one are very accurate that I can compare against each other.
You know,
So John, I agree with your question, for your request for information, and it seems like the range would be the 5.5 million at the low end and the 7 million at the high end. It would be a range of outcomes that were avoided by paying the 4.9 currently. The factor I don't know is how to figure out how much of that, over what time period that 5.5 or 7.1 is being paid. And I would ask that question of Tina. If you did a time value of money analysis and said, okay, we're going to pay a 4.9 premium today, and we're going to avoid a cost of 5.5 to 7.1 in the future, over what time in the future would you spread those future payments that we are avoiding?
that's what we need. What's the future value of $4.9 million?
Well, we'll leave that to them, because they're
Can you do that?
experts.
Yeah.
I would
Okay, I'll do it.
take the life expectancy of males and females and know of the 106, how many are males and females, or maybe aggregate it, because it's not gonna matter. And use that as my years, and then I would just average the payments. That's just my simple, because I'm a simple guy, I can't go too much beyond it.
Because those claims exist for the life expectancy of those 106 people.
And then, you know, you got a discount rate in there, whatever you think inflation's gonna be, oh, my, answer that question, yeah. And then, but, you know, but you guys, this is what you do for a living, so I'm anxious to let you do it.
There might be additional central estimates in that analysis.
Dr. Gomez has a
So,
So we've got 106 potential claims. Where along the 1995, is that the
oldest is 96, I think.
96 to 21, right? Where are most of those claims sort of situated on that timeline, right? So are they, I mean, what percentage of them are like in the 90s? And what percentage of them are within the last like 5 years?
Good question. Majority are in the last 5 years, because hopefully, which I trust our team, has closed the older claims, because the longer a claim stays open, the more expensive it's gonna get. That's just workers' compensation. So because the district joined PIPs in 21-22 fiscal year, you're still gonna have new claims from 2020.
Okay, so we just hit 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, depending on which time zone you're in. We better, can we leave that, is that enough for now to get some, and I think with that additional information, this has really been helpful, and it's been a great education, I really appreciate it.
Crash course more.
Yeah, no, it's been wonderful.
So if there are no other questions, then we will coordinate with Keenan, Brad, and Jenna to come back and provide the information
Okay,
that we
and whether you want to
requested.
come here or go full, or whatever you think, that's up to you.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
guys.
you.
Wow, you guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have one more question.
Yes, sir.
For coming up with this program and presenting it to us.
You're welcome.
PIPS JPA retention,
0.
0.
0.
So we don't have this problem.
And that's kind of why,
I think you said that at the beginning,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to hear it one more time at the end.
and that's why organizations like Pasadena and others are interested in it, because they've joined PIPs. So their responsibility, financial responsibility is 0. PIPs is taking on the responsibility. So this is a way to have no responsibility with work comp for retrospective claims.
Okay, great.
No more settlement authorities, but.
Hate to change my mind and, you know, 20, 30 years from now decide to rerun for the board again. I won't have to face this issue. So
Yeah.
that's good.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for your time.
Yeah.
Mom, you tripping and fall.
I have that on our list too, so we can get back to you.
We'll cover you.
That would be work comp.
Actually, that would be,
Yes.
It would be in.
That's
It's in PIPs, it's
So
in
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
mix, you're good.
You know,
Thank you for your
very
time.
much.
pay
Thank you.
calculator, and you
Thank
say,
you very
oh, 8% average return.
Okay,
Right, so
we gotta keep rolling. Fiscal accountability.
It just sounds
Updates,
fabulous,
right?
and I just,
Candace?
yeah,
Yes.
like I said, just
Yeah,
sounds
such a pleasure.
distressingly good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the next item we wanted to do was just give you all a quick update on, remember we came to you all during the summertime with an idea about the district moving towards fiscal independence. The first
Yes.
step in that piece is fiscal accountability. There are 2 pieces that we're not gonna run through everything today, so because our intention is really to come back in that December meeting, but there are 2 pieces that we wanted to bring to your attention. The first is the plan. So LACO requires that we come up with a plan about how we're going to move forward with fiscal accountability piece. Jesse's going to talk about that at a high level, just what are the components of that. And then the secondary piece, which is that third item on our agenda, is we have to designate through resolution dispersing officers. And so the positions at the college that would represent those positions and need to be bonded are my role and then Jesse's role. So we just wanted to kind of talk through that because these are the steps that will lead us into that early 2024 process for accountability. So I'm gonna throw it over to Jesse to talk about the plan, and then we can talk about the resolution after.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Candace. The traveling mountain.
Yeah.
So the plan, Lake will let us to really articulate how our internal control processes are in this plan. Because ultimately what they wanted to make sure is that we, as an institution, have the capability as far as our financial software. And also we have the manpower and the appropriate divisions of duties to be able to carry out as a warrant issuer. So first.
And the skill set.
And the skill set as well, yeah. So I mean, unfortunately, as a community college, we do have a little bit more resources as a lot of the K-12s. So we are able to have a little bit more robust staff team to designate different roles and have separate eyes onto the different steps to make sure that we are actually able to handle all those different areas that Lake was interested in. So just talk about the basic steps in order to get from and now where we are to become fully fiscally accountable is that in July, if you remember that the board took action to allow us to go forward with the fiscally accountable step. So that was step one. And then having this plan is our step two. And after we give Lakeville our plan, they're going to hire a accounting firm to come and audit us. So the interesting piece is they get to pick the firm, and then we get the bill.
Yeah.
Whatever that bill is going to be.
You can't have yourself choosing your own auditor.
Guess not. So I mean, so far they're talking about just utilizing our existing auditor, because they're already aware of what we're doing and how we're doing things. So that seemed for them to make most sense. So that is most likely going to happen in January of 2024. So once the auditors comes and then they have checklists that the auditors must follow to check our different areas. Most of them are internal control areas of how we are processing commercial warrants, which are the vendor checks, who's entering it, making sure that the group of folks that are the staff members that are entering are not the ones that are processing. So there's different segregations of duties that exist to prevent any type of fraud and folks are having a review process to make sure that errors are catched at the right places. Yes.
Do we require people to be away from their jobs for a certain number of weeks per year?
We do encourage folks to take vacation.
But they're not required? That's where fraud occurs.
Yeah, we can't really require folks to take vacation, but what we do to compensate that control is to always have two members on the team to do the same thing. So for example, with our accounts payable division, we have 4 accounts payable clerks that are processing, entering the data in the system. And then a separate team of 2 are validating the data, and then myself and the controller were the one that are approving. So there's different layers that along the way that are watching, validating, reconciling to make sure things are, there are eyes being put on at each step. And also the system itself does a lot of the checking for us too. So for example, if we enter it compares to, it matches the vendor name to the addresses. So if we have 2 vendors that are all the same name but different addresses, then it kicks back to us as an error to say, hey, are you sure this is the same company or a different company? So that kind of help us also to validate some of those things.
We have a cap on accrued vacation.
We do.
We do.
That's usually
That's
the number
helpful.
one incentive to take vacation.
Right. Yeah, and the fortunate thing is our folks actually love taking vacation.
Yeah, but it's the person
Unless
that's
they're
committing
committing
fraud that
fraud.
doesn't take
Yeah,
vacation.
unless-
Right, if you're always, so if you have other people taking over the job and they know it,
Yep.
that just reduces the likelihood.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, in my auditor days, I see a lot of that in K-12s because they're so resource strapped. There's only one person doing one thing at all times. If that person ever out the door, just sit there until that person comes back. That's usually when things are likely to go wrong. But here at community colleges, we have, you know, I wouldn't say the luxury, but we have a little bit more resource for us to hire a little bit more staff members to have those type of redundancies. Yeah. Okay, so continue on with the timeline. So January likely we'll have that audit done, and a successful audit would lead us into the next step, which the county will meet with us, and then also the Treasury's office will meet with us to help us establish the accounts with the county treasurer. So that would be like the official breaking with LACO, for lack of a better term. So we will have 4 accounts established with the treasurer, 2 for payroll and 2 for commercial warrants. Although we're not taking the step for payrolls just yet, but since they're going to go ahead and establish those accounts for us already. So when we're ready to take the step, those accounts will be established. So we'll meet with them and we'll walk through those processes, and then so hopefully by March, LACO will approve us to be fiscally accountable, and then comes the next July 1st. That's when will be official first day of us cutting our own checks.
Wonderful.
What date, when was that?
July 1st of 2024. So fingers crossed all goes well.
I think we should have a cake.
Okay. Any other questions or thoughts or comments?
So the plan is for you all, just that we wanted to give it to you all. I mean, read it at your leisure. It will come to the full board, so the requirements for LACO is that you all as a body approve the plan, that you've been informed of the plan. So we'll take our budget and audit committee meeting in December and have another review just to see if you have any questions. Another checklist item is the dispersing officer piece. So that will actually come to, the resolution is on the November 15th meeting, which is just designating, again, my role and Jesse's role as the dispersing officers, as this sort of beginning step of us being accountable.
So just give.
Okay.
I have a question or a suggestion.
Please.
To date, we have certain internal controls in place that reflect the fact that LACO is our disbursement agent and our fiscally accountable agency. And I want to follow up on Tammy's question, and that is, should we increase the internal controls and separation of duties if we're going to take the next step and become the dispersing officer, become the fiscally accountable agency, and increase those internal controls, and specifically on the issue that she raised. There could be other issues, but one of them is mandating that people take vacations and others assume their role during that vacation as a way to make sure that those types of committable potential fraud opportunities are reduced. That's just one example, but if we're going to step up to a higher level of accountability, should our internal controls also step up accordingly?
I think it's a really great point. There may be other ways for us to manage that particular internal control outside of mandating vacation. One way might be shifting the work regularly, to team on some sort of interval. That's not to say that we cannot mandate, it's just that becomes a negotiated item. So it gets us to the bargaining tables when we're telling certain portions of our population that they must use vacation in these pieces. So, but to address the concern that both Trustee Silver and Trustee Osterman raised, there are other creative ways that we can ensure that the work is shifting on an interval that may or may not be predictable to employees, that Jesse and I can help to monitor and also look at some best practices that are happening at other community colleges that are currently either fiscally accountable or fiscally independent. So the concern has been noted. We understand that we need to just make sure that we have that safeguard in place, and we'll think through what's the straightest path to get us there without having to get to the bargaining
I
table.
got two real quick comments, I'm trying to move this on, because
Yes.
I got a hard stop.
Yes.
So, number one is, obviously you mentioned cross-training, and especially those that don't like to go on vacation for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you put them in cross-training and they don't get to do their old job, and they're doing somebody else's job, and you're accomplishing
Mhm.
two beasts at once, so that is something. And then, boy, I lost the second thought, but it'll hit me as soon as the meeting's over.
Well, John, let me just quickly interject. Candace, I agree, it doesn't have to be accomplished in that specific way, but overall, in general, we're going to be fiscally accountable agency now and not LACO. I think we want to look at our overall practices and make sure that we have adequate safeguards.
I think that's great advice.
Yeah, the second comment now it comes back to me is, initially you did a presentation on potential cost savings by moving in this direction. And it would be good to refresh that and bring it back at a high level in December, because if I remember correctly, and my memory's not that good, it seemed to me that the number of staff necessary might have been a little understated in that previous presentation, and that concerned me, that what's the real cost benefit here? So,
We're
it
happy
was
to
a
bring
long
that
time
up.
ago,
Yep,
but if you could bring that back, I'd
Sure.
appreciate it.
we'll do that.
Hey, 311Q, and this is our,
Can I,
yeah, go ahead.
Can we, I would, this is, since you all will be, I would like to ask
Oh, for
for a
this.
motion for
on the-
you all to recommend to your colleagues the approval of the designation of dispersing officers
Yeah,
resolution.
this looks fine to me, fine to
I'll-
you.
I'll make that motion.
Second, yeah, you don't count, Jim, sorry. Are you in favor?
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor. It passes 2-0 with Jim Osterling's blessing from afar.
Yes,
Okay, 311Q, this is the first one, right?
it is.
It's
You
like,
know,
we
yeah.
got it, you pass it on. Nice to see numbers, thank you so much.
Similar
Anybody else
motion.
needs to say, oh, you need a motion?
Just to recommend
You
for
wanna
your
move it?
colleagues.
I move we approve the.
I second. You want to bless it from afar, Jim? 311Q?
Yes, blessed from afar.
Thank you. All in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Aye. We're good. Okay. Quarterly PARs, I appreciate it. One page, pretty simple, usual numbers.
Mhm,
I know periodically they do give us a little more robust
mhm.
report with where we're invested and what's changed. I don't have to see that every meeting. I don't remember the last time we got the
We
robust
did that
version.
last February, so our recommendation would be to bring them back out again and have them do their normal sort of full presentation to the subcommittee at our February, March.
Sounds good.
Okay.
February seems like a really good time because
Wonderful.
they should get the December 31 numbers in there maybe.
Yes.
Okay, every proposed meeting schedule, you mentioned December. I know Audrey sent us a kabillion
Yes.
requests. My life is scheduled
Just
for every
doing my
second.
job.
Every second, she's so efficient.
Oh, thank you.
My life at PCC is scheduled for my last 5 months here. So what, is it, December 6th?
December 6th,
December
yes.
6th, and I
Okay.
have them, I put them all.
Yeah, I got them all in.
Just wait, John.
Just wait.
He'll be here for years
I
and
have that on my calendar.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, future agenda items?
None, I have none.
Anyone? Even
No.
none? I think
We'll take the items that we took
today,
today, so
you've
both the
got some big
update on,
ones.
and we'll bring that to our December 6th
Okay.
meeting.
Wait, I'm still not done on this 4.9 million.
Okay.
So my question is, do we have that as a lump sum somewhere?
We do.
And right now, is it allocated towards these future?
Yeah, so we are required to keep a sufficient funding source to cover these liabilities. So we
Okay.
have them in a separate fund. They are there and available if we wanted to move forward.
Okay,
Just
So,
define how much is in that
it-
fund.
I want to say it's close to,
A little over 5
5
million.
million.
it's a little over 5 million. And
So
is
you,
it in-
you like me might find a 20 in our jeans if we went ahead with this.
So that's all I want to know. So we have that. Is it invested now?
No, remember, we're not able to.
We're not able to. I see. When we become independent, will we be able to?
Yeah, we'll be able to invest in the LAIF investment pool.
You mean LACO?
It's called LAIF investment pool, so.
Local agency investment fund, right?
Managed by the LACO?
Is it-
One way,
actually a
one way of
state-
thinking about
Yeah, it's
states
state
not
program.
by having the 4.9 or 5 million sitting in a fund somewhere earning nothing.
Yeah, that's not
If
good.
instead you invest on 4.9 and earn a discount into those future liabilities of somewhere from 5 and up to 7, you're earning some amount. Keenan is going to tell us what that rate is, but it's greater than 0. So one way of thinking about it is right now we have $4.9 million invested earning 0. And if we did this program, we'd have 4.9 that we invest, and we'd actually earn a decent return on.
Okay,
Okay, so that's all I want to know is because it sounds fabulous. I love the creative thinking, but honestly, it just sounds too good. People are making money. Insurance agent is making money, Swiss Re is making money, and that's why I want to know, so if they're making all that money, what the number we don't know is what is the value of that 4.9 million over the projected life?
They're going to get back to us and show us that range of, we pay out 5.5 to
Can
7.
Jesse also figure that, because I'm not sure they have a vested interest to provide us?
We will do some analysis ourselves on what we believe that to be. I think everything is, one thing that Brad did say is, hey, I mean, you all could pay out less than what this 4.9, that is possible.
Oh, it's not likely, I agree, expenses are only gonna get higher, till I feel comfortable
Yeah.
to say yes to that, it's that future value of the
Sure.
4.9 million.
I'd love to, it's not only the 106 that I'd love to get the numbers on, it's all of the claims that that had happened during that period that may not be open, that could be reopened. We need that number too. So I was gonna push him separately on that, and the age of those populations may be helpful to Trustee Martin's question is like, how long is this an issue? So if all of those folks live to 95, at what point would we not
Right.
have to deal with that? So we'll work with them on sort of pushing them a little bit.
He was an unhappy fellow when he packed up.
I don't think so.
I was like,
Are we adjourned?
I'm trying.
no, we're not
because
adjourned yet, because
in 2
I
minutes
want to
I
say-
am adjourned, yeah.
I'm done, I
think
wanted to
it's
be
okay.
sure, I felt this question was part of the business, and I wanted to ask it while we were still in the meeting. I am done.
Okay, I think I'm, in Jim's behalf, officially say we're now adjourned.
Yes.
I move we adjourn.
John, thank you for stepping in and leading the meeting. Audrey, if you're still back there, I can't see. She's
I'm back here.
There she is. My apologies for the technical difficulties.
It's
Thank
okay.
you for getting here.
John, we need
Thank
to
you.
move
Yes.
the
Have a
motion.
great evening,
You
everybody.
need a
Thank you.
motion
Thank
to adjourn
Don't we?
Yes, you do.
this
Yes.
new modern era, I tell ya.
Okay,
can't.
I move we adjourn.
I second.
Thank you so
You're in
Aye.
favor, I'm in favor.